NFL friends, have we neglected you? Yes. Are we sorry about that? Yes. Are we here to make amends? Yes, we're here. We're pitching up as the post-Thanksgiving business end of proceedings begins. And happy to say, a man who has been touring the world at NFL games this year is here in studio. Shane Brennan, hello.
1 week late, but I'm here. This is Thanksgiving +1. We're finally getting here. I have to say, though, I'm kind of glad that it didn't happen last week. I was ready to come in here last Thursday and sort of bring in two big hot takes. One, that the LA Rams are bulletproof. They ended up losing this Sunday, just gone. So I've spared myself some embarrassment. And last week I was convinced that Charlie Smith wasn't going to play for the New Orleans Saints. And thankfully I was proven wrong. I ended up in Mayo Bridge on Sunday. So, yeah, glad to be here.
Well, you're very welcome. Will Slattery, often here, is here.
Hello, Joe. There has been a scandalous lack of NFL talk on this podcast. Like, baseball's gotten an airing, cricket has gotten an airing.
Yeah. You're airing all of these.
And now you're trapped. You can't get away. So we're talking about NFL. There's nothing you can do about it.
It was scheduled last week, as you know, I think, listeners, and then Liverpool lost to PSV and it all just... Oh, hang on. 1-1 with Sunderland. You're kidding. Shane. I got some bad news, buddy. No, we'll push on. We promised.
That was a good fake earpiece. I thought for a second you were getting something in your ear there. That was good.
1-0? Sunderland?
That's convincing.
And a goal, but for who? Joe Malloy.
Yeah. So we have lots to get through. We are going to do this in some set talking points, which helps me get on top of the material. I'm not seeing much NFL, but this is a time of year where I do like to pitch in. We're 14 weeks into the 18-week season. The playoffs are taking shape. Super Bowl this year will be in San Francisco. You're going.
I am, yeah. Looking forward to it.
Is that my heart sinks when there's a West Coast major? Is this going to be super late now for us?
No, it's the same time zone. It's just it's earlier for them.
They do earlier.
Yeah. So
it's what is it? It's just a set time.
It's a set time. I think whatever it is, 8 o'clock or 3 o'clock.
Half six.
So
okay. Yeah.
Eastern
I'm
time.
now getting images of Michael Jackson. His Super Bowl performance being in the daytime.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, like the Super Bowl was played in Los Angeles the last time, I think, on the West Coast, and it was like the daytime. Even by the time the halftime show came on,
yeah,
it's just it's a set time. They're very standardized when it comes to the NFL.
Okay, nice. We will be talking about the Patriots back from the dead, the Chiefs, the toughest challenge thus far of the Patrick Mahomes era. Eagles, they are the reigning champs. Booed in their most recent game, and the offensive coach's house was egged.
Yeah, that's just only in Philadelphia.
Everything's in Philadelphia. Chicago, new life under coach Ben Johnson, coach not sprinter, and then there is Ireland and NFL talk, of course. The fortunes of our kickers. Charlie Smith will play this weekend, and what talk of a return to Dublin, and then Will has managed to shoehorn college football into the conversation, which I objected to. But then when he said it was to do with Bill Belichick, Carolina shambles, I said, okay.
Two postscripts, one Bill Belichick rated, one somewhat bits and bobsy-esque Will Slattery elevator pitch at the very end.
I'm not sure we can use the phrase bits and bobsy.
Well, I just did, Joe.
I don't know if we're there yet.
I just did.
But the extent to which Bill Belichick is kind of chipping away at his legend and his legacy is very interesting. Just a broad overall topic for a moment, Shane. This is, and generally most of the questions I will be pitching Shane's thoughts back to him, so he'll probably agree with the premise of the questions. But some would say, Shane, this is one of the most open seasons in years, especially AFC side. Discuss.
Yeah, it's been very difficult to predict because ahead of the season, you're expecting on the AFC side of things, Josh Allen's Buffalo Bills, Joe Burrow's Cincinnati Bengals, Lamar Jackson's Baltimore Ravens to still be kind of up there with Mahomes and the Chiefs as being the sort of main players. That hasn't happened at all this year. All of those teams have sort of fallen away in different ways. The Bills maybe not so much. They're still very much in the chase. They're actually still the third favourites for Super Bowl betting, even though they're 3 wins behind in their division. But the New England Patriots have taken over the AFC East. They're now 11-2. The Denver Broncos have not really come out of nowhere, but have surprised people how well they've played. They're 10-2 as well. I've managed to pull off a lot of one-score wins over the course of the season. They're due to be the first team other than the Chiefs to win the AFC West in over a decade. And there's a few other teams as well that just seem like they've kind of not come out of nowhere, but it seems like it's all to play for. That even if you're the 7th seed in the playoffs and that side of things, you could easily just topple whoever tops the seedings.
So open suggests there is no outstanding team. It's hard to see how you beat them.
Yeah, and especially with those two teams at the top, the Patriots and the Broncos, and we'll talk about the Patriots, it's like, yes, they're 11-2, you think, oh, well, they're winning 10 games in a row. What's the frailties here? Well, really, by the time they come up in the playoffs against a top team, there's a lot of little holes to be picked at, I think, with some of these teams. And it's going to make the playoffs very unpredictable, which is going to make it really fun in January.
Yeah, I would say it's been a fairly ordinary and average season in terms of play. Like the teams, as Shane has mentioned, that are top of the pops at the moment are not I would be astonished if the Patriots won the Super Bowl. They're currently like the 1 seed now. They might not finish there. Likewise, the Bears in the NFC. I would be absolutely astonished if either of those teams won the Super Bowl or even made the Super Bowl. The traditional powers of Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore, the Eagles, as we've kind of touched on, like they're all kind of middling their way through the regular season. Now, it's all about getting to the playoffs. So.
Is there an outstanding favourite?
No.
Up until last week, the LA Rams were the only team that seemed solid on both sides of the ball, but then they ended up dropping one to Carolina, and even then people are like, are they going to start cooling off at the wrong time of year?
Okay. Well, talking point one is the Patriots. And this is interesting, I guess, because not so long ago, post-Belichick, 2 sacked coaches, a squad that was very depleted, 2 seasons with just 4 wins and 13 losses. So there was definitely a sense that there'd be kind of a Manchester United post-Ferguson-esque period in the doldrums. And suddenly they've emerged with an 11-2 record, 10-game winning streak. They're the number 1 seed in the AFC. And I guess there are 2 people we should talk about. The coach, Mike Vrabel, is interesting because he is of the Patriot way. It's his first year as head coach. As a player, he won 3 Super Bowls. He was one of the leading linebackers in the Belichick defense. And he's made his way elsewhere in the game. Defensive coordinator at Houston, head coach, Tennessee Titans, did very well there. And now he's come back to New England and seems to be turning the ship. Here is a sense of him, if you want to get a sense of Mike Vrabel, in the locker room after the Patriots beat New York Giants.
Okay, so fellas, y'all stepped up. Okay, you chose to be aggressive, and you chose to attack. Okay? Ellis, lights out, 1 clap. Marcus Jones, house call, 1 clap. Okay, fellas, I appreciate you, man. You took the message, and you were willing to go and be a champion from front. Okay, we got to keep going, because now they get bigger and bigger.
Sounds much nicer than Bill.
I think that's a big part of why he's being successful in New England. It's the fact he has the same kind of old-fashioned smash-mouth, old-world level of, do your job, be disciplined. Let's not make anything more scandalised than it has to be. It's not about personality clashes or anything like that. I mean, there's a couple of times in the off-season where a couple of things happened, including with Stephon Diggs. For example, there was a moment in the off-season when he was supposed to be at home training, and he was caught on a boat in Miami passing around what seemed like purple crystals. There's a lot of teams in the league that when something like that happens, you sit back and think, this is going to turn into a massive scandal. Someone's going to end up being thrown out of the locker room. It's going to be very difficult to build cohesion. And he just kept it very quiet and low-key. And that's the thing with Mike Vrabel. I mean, he was talking about sort of toughness and aggressiveness. Just for context, one of the players that he called out there was Christian Ellis, who against the New York Giants hit this unbelievably tough, hard tackle on the quarterback Jackson Dart that ended up knocking him flying over the sideline. It's a kind of a return of the old-fashioned, tough, difficult to play against Patriots defense, which was known from the Belichick era. But he's a lot more touchy-feely when it comes to his players. Yeah. I think it's worth remembering. I mean, I was in Frankfurt on the last season that Belichick was coach of the Patriots, and they played a very, very bad game in Frankfurt against the Colts. I think it was 10-6. And that game was actually the game when Robert Kraft decided that the Belichick era at the end, the Patriots played that bad. And Mac Jones, who was the quarterback back then, walked into the room, and I swear to God, he was about to start crying in front of us. And this is Mac Jones, who's used to that hard style of coaching because he dealt with Nick Saban in college, who's that similar type of style. But it's clear that Belichick, in a certain way, had just become this kind of cultural monster that destroyed the confidence of his players. Mike Vrabel is coming in with the same level of discipline and doing your job and all this kind of, just not overselling yourself and being tough, but I think has a greater level of emotional intelligence for the modern age to not knock the confidence of his players. Yeah. And the way that Drake May, in particular, the second-year quarterback now for the Patriots, has played so far this year has been a reflection of that. He's very much a sort of a builder-upper of characters.
You could sense the warmth actually in the room towards the coach.
Yeah, I think the crucial thing with Mike Vrabel is he played under Bill Belichick, so he does know what Bill Belichick demanded. He knows what Bill Belichick was like as a coach. But crucially, as you said, he forged his own coaching path. Like every member of the Bill Belichick coaching tree who kind of exclusively coached with Bill Belichick has actually been like a disaster as a head coach. Like Gerard Mayo, who was handpicked as Bill Belichick's successor, who was the defensive coordinator, was a disaster in the 1 year he spent there and was turfed out. Like Josh McDaniels, who was the longtime New England Patriots offensive coordinator, who funnily enough Mike Vrabel brought back because he's very good in that role. When he went out on his own to be a head coach, they all tried to be Bill Belichick and have this kind of tough, no-nonsense style, basically being a bit of an asshole. And it just didn't work because they didn't have the technical acumen to back it up. Whereas Vrabel is very much his own man, but while maybe taking some of that kind of toughness from Belichick, but isn't trying to be Bill Belichick either. And that kind of blend seems to be working quite well. That it's still kind of the Patriot way, but a modern version of it for 2025, whereas the Bill Belichick one had probably run its course.
I'm a fan of one clap, by the way. No one likes it.
Two
It's
clap.
on forever. Thanks. What are we doing? Stop. Can I stop? One clap. Done. Perfect. Our purple crystals. Is that a substance? Or
I don't. That's the way. If you read every report,
have you just slandered the man?
No, if you read any report from like American media, it says some sort of purple substance or purple crystals in quotation marks.
So what?
We've no idea what they are. They could have been
Kids,
sweets.
Joe, it's what
they
the
could have been
kids.
sweets.
6'7", 6'7". It's what the kids are doing now.
God, I can't believe you brought 6'7". Joe.
But they seem like a substance. Look, we won't dwell on that. So you mentioned quarterback. Obviously, post Brady, much like the head coach, is kind of just a vaunted role in NFL life. Drake May, 23 years old, a strapping man, 6'4". So second year quarterbacking at 23 years of age, and he is by all accounts lighting up the lead. Second favourite for MVP. So have they found their quarterback for the next decade here? Is this guy that good?
I'd certainly hope so. I'd certainly, as a fan of the league, not only the way he's been playing. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks that come in and they find themselves in a sort of one-trick pony position. But Drake May has been able to scramble when he needs to. He can run the ball when he needs to. He's hitting the short pass pretty accurately. But his deep throws are just so precise when he has to go for those particular plays. It was interesting last year. He was sort of brought into the squad sort of gradually. Didn't really have a particularly stellar offense around him. A lot of young parts in place. He's been given a better offensive line to protect him. He's been given better wide receivers to throw to. But it just his actual confidence, and as well as that, Josh McDaniels, who has come back into New England as offensive coordinator, he's the sort of guy who's doing all of the planning as to what the offense is doing, is really managed to set the Patriots up in a certain way that he always has two options to throw to. There's a lot of quarterbacks that even if they have two options to throw to, they will consistently pick the less wise option because it pads their stats or goes further down the field. I think Drake May is really built into this year that he's making really good decisions. His throwing is pretty accurate. Now, I know the level of defense he's played against hasn't necessarily been the strongest in the league, but you have to beat what's in front of you, and he's done so at a really, really consistent level every week, and as somebody who I think is going to keep building into the season.
He's been the breakout star of the NFL season, for sure. Like last year, as Shane said, he was drafted. So last year, there was 3 quarterbacks drafted with the top 3 picks, and it was Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May. And Drake May was seen as the third of 3 very much so. But now that's kind of flipped a bit in its head. Like Drake May is, as you said, second favourite for the MVP. Getting Josh Allen comparisons with kind of his style. He's a big guy. Funnily enough, he actually came from North Carolina, where Bill Belichick has subsequently gone back to. So there's these kind of funny parallels. But he looks the real deal. And like the post Brady era was Cam Newton. Then they drafted Mac Jones, and he just didn't work out at all. If you don't get the quarterback right, you have no chance of winning a Super Bowl. You have no chance of competing. So they've gotten that right. They've gotten the coach right. So, I said I'd be surprised if they won the Super Bowl this year, but they're definitely set up for the next 5 to 10 years to be really competitive.
Okay, nice. Let's turn to our 2 Super Bowl contenders from last year. So Kansas City Chiefs, who obviously were going for the 3 in a row last year and came up short against the Eagles. They are not going very well. Currently 6 wins, 6 losses. They're on the road, 5 losses, 1 win. That's what's really killing them. So any great issue here or outstanding issue? Patrick Mahomes at the helm, Travis Kelce, very famous man these days.
Very.
So what are we saying about the Chiefs? Are they just like in a kind of steady decline now from their peak of 24 and 23, or? What's going on?
And you've been there, Shane. You were there, so you know well. You've been in the inner sanctum.
What are the people saying, Shane?
Well, the people when I was there were saying the Chiefs were back because I was there a few weeks ago when they had this 3-game period of playing at home. It was the second of those 3 games. They beat the Las Vegas Raiders 31-0. And at that point, the mood in the building was very much, okay, we're back now. Because at the start of the season, there was a couple of games that just kind of fell by the wayside. They lost a 1-score game at home to the Eagles. They lost a 1-score game away to the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is a bit of a sort of freak ending, the way that Trevor Lawrence managed to get the winning score there. And at that point, everyone was like, okay, we're back now. Everyone was just sort of saying the Chiefs are inevitable, going to build into the season nicely. They had a really nice run afterwards. And then they go to Buffalo, lose by 7. They go to Denver and lose by 3. And I think it's the fact that all those games are close and they're coming out on the wrong side of those close games is the key difference. They're not actually playing hugely different to the way they have been in the last 2 seasons. 2 years ago, they won the Super Bowl in a year when their wide receivers just kept dropping so many passes, and Patrick Mahomes actually didn't have that much talent around him to make serious plays when he threw the ball. Last year, they won the Super Bowl in a year when they didn't win the Super Bowl. They got to the Super Bowl in a year when their defense was superb, and Patrick Mahomes actually was not serviceable is the wrong word, but was managing to sort of get by. But the key thing is that when the game came to the close moments, either they got luck, some people say they got a few refereeing decisions, but they made the plays to win. They were 11-0 or 12-0 in 1-score games last year. They're 1-6 in 1-score games this year. I think there's a couple of these situations where they're just falling around side of the ball, but as well as that, I think there's a lot of these games where other teams, and we saw this on Thanksgiving this day last year when they played against the Cowboys. Other teams, I think, are just learning to bring their best to the Chiefs. And because the Chiefs' defense in particular has taken a step back, you can score points on them in the way that you haven't been able to in the last couple of years. And Patrick Mahomes and the offense doesn't quite have the pure star power to really undo that as they have had in previous years, especially when they go on the road.
They have to win 4 of their last 5 now if they want to make playoffs.
Yeah, it's a tough ask. I think their schedule, I think they could maybe sneak in as like a 7 seed into the playoffs. I think it's worth mentioning. Like, they played 3 Super Bowls in a row.
6-7 seed, kind of.
Yeah, nice.
Come on.
Oh
Come
my
on.
God. Oh my God.
I still don't know what that means.
You're not meant to know.
But why is it, I get that it means like there's been a murder. 6-7, that's the code for a murder. Oh,
Is that what it is?
that's kind of cool.
I thought it was just some kid
But
doing.
why does that...
That was the genesis. The 6-7 thing is because when people eavesdrop on the cops, when there's a murder, 6-7 is the call.
Oh.
So then it ended up in some rap songs. And then a kid went viral because, I don't know, camera was on him at a basketball match and he started going 6-7, 6-7, 6-7. I don't know, 6-7.
I feel bad that I'm the one here in my 20s and I'm having this explained to me rather than
Well,
to that age.
I read an explainer about it in a broadsheet, so you know. But I think the point is it's not meant to have any more depth than that.
Okay.
And a huge part of the appeal is the confusion of millennials and older going, but sorry, what is it? Like, but I know what you do, but what?
Like Tony Romo said it in
If you know, you know. And I know.
The point is there's no meaning, and you know there's no meaning, but the adults don't. And look how much it annoys them.
it annoys me as well.
Yeah,
You can tell
6-7,
you can tell my Spotify age is 64, just the way I reacted to this.
There was 2 things I was going to mention on the Chiefs, though. Like, they went to 3 Super Bowls in a row, which has only been done, I think, once in the Super Bowl era. The Patriots did it about 10 years ago. So that's a lot of miles on the clock for the same team. No other team is dealing with that. And the second one was, Shane mentioned, like, their lack of explosivity, I think, has caught up with them. Like, they traded away Tariq Hill after the 2021 season. Made 3 Super Bowls in a row subsequent to that, which people were shocked by. They thought there might have been a downturn then. But with Andy Reid, the head coach's kind of offensive ingenuity, they were able to kind of just work their way through the playoffs. Like, they weren't hitting big plays. Like, Josh Allen has a huge arm, like maybe hits in more big plays. But this season, it's been quite pronounced that when the offense maybe struggles a little more, if Andy Reid, who's gotten a little bit older, if he can't unlock the defense with some good play calling, they don't really seem to have many options. So that's kind of something like when you watch the Chiefs play, they used to be exciting. You'd be on the edge of your seat watching Patrick Mahomes. What's he going to do now? Now he's almost like the best game manager in the league. Like, he can get them through games and he can get them through wins. Especially last year's Super Bowl run, the Shane alluded to, with their close games. Like, I think they finished 15-2 last year, but they should have been 10-7. Like, some of those games were like they were completely blessed to win. So I think they were maybe artificially, kind of a little artificial with their record last year. And now Mahomes isn't being able to kind of produce these late game heroics this year, and they don't have the star quality to back it up. So it is interesting. I like they don't look Super Bowl contenders at the moment anyway.
I think, sorry, just one last thing. The biggest thing with the Chiefs, is, based on what you're saying, is how exciting they used to be. They haven't changed enough in the last couple of years. I think that makes it easier for them to be beaten a little bit. So it's interesting now to sort of see what they're going to do this year. If this is, for example, Travis Kelce's last year, Andy Reid, is still speculation that he mightn't necessarily be head coach of that team either. Is there a revolution coming there?
Okay, let's talk Eagles. Shout out for Silver Linings Playbook, by the way.
Great movie.
Isn't it really great?
It's a phenomenal film.
You, oh, yeah.
No.
You should watch it this weekend. It's top.
It's really good.
Yeah.
That was Chris Tucker's first film in like 15 years, 10 years.
Who's Chris Tucker?
Guy from Rush Hour. He's in it. He's one of the friends.
Oh, no, he didn't make a big impression on me.
Well, like, he only has a small role in that movie, but I remember watching it and being like, where's Chris Tucker been? He hasn't done anything. Rush Hour is a great film. Well, we don't need to get into it, but...
you should really watch it.
Yeah, I don't.
Bradley Cooper is an Eagles fan. The family are Eagles crazy.
Yeah. Robert De Niro is the dad. Eagles obsessive. Sits in the same chair for every Eagles game. For the juju. I need the juju. Yeah.
Juju, yeah. So, didn't they have riots last year when they won the Super Bowl? Wasn't that a big thing?
That's Philadelphia.
Yeah. That's Philadelphia. They have to grease the lampposts because people keep climbing up. There's like somebody actually got seriously hurt last year after winning the NFC Championship game. So yeah, it's that city is nuts.
I always think it's quite impressive when someone climbs a lamppost. Like low level, like sort of on this. You don't think about it, but like, could you do it?
I don't even know where they're getting the grip. Never mind.
That's what I mean. There's nothing to grab onto. Anyway, in a continuation of the theme, they have egged Kevin Patullo's house, and they keep chanting "Fire Kevin" because they don't like what they're seeing. The team were booed on Black Friday. They lost to Chicago Bears at home. He's their offensive coordinator now, and the offense is ranked number 22 in points per game. So they've gone off a cliff, really, offensively anyway. And the only thing that could be done, really, was to egg Kevin's house.
It's the only way to express your emotions, obviously. That's the way that it's
the most Eagles thing possible. When you think
let's go and egg his house.
Yeah, when people say about fans, you have to support the team through thick and thin. That ideal of a fan, whatever Philadelphia is, it's a complete 180 from the ideal of a fan.
It's their Real Madrid level of spoiled and get on their own team's back, but Galatasaray level of welcome to hell. That is what a Philadelphia is. I was actually
they booed Santa Claus at Christmas, famously. Like there was a guy dressed as Santa who came out on the pitch to hand out gifts to like needy children, and the fans were like, "Boo, you prick!"
There was a moment in the Black Friday game last week when the camera cut to the crowd, and there's a teenager like giving the double middle finger, and his dad is beside him and just like hugs him as like the proudest father.
Is there not a bit of credit in the bank here, given you just won the Super Bowl?
It's a strange thing in Philadelphia, whereas they made the Super Bowl 3 years ago off the back of a great season. Their two coordinators were like hired to be head coaches. They nosedived. Then last year they got two good coordinators, and again had an unbelievable year, won the Super Bowl. Coordinator goes off to be a head coach elsewhere. Their head coach Nick Sirianni is perpetually maligned.
Okay,
so he doesn't call the offense, he doesn't call the defense, and as he's been asked many times, so what do you do?
I could do that job.
What do you do on the game day?
Delicate.
So traditionally, guys in that role who don't call either are like these kind of senior kind of head, real kind of they have a bit of gravitas. They kind of set the tone. Whereas Nick Sirianni is kind of ranting and raving and yelling on the sidelines. He's a young guy. Like he doesn't give off CEO vibes necessarily, and he's not very popular, despite, as you say, winning the Super Bowl last year.
Sirianni's stock goes up and down so quickly. There was a point last season when, after they beat the Bengals, they had a win at home. He starts having an argument with his own fans in the stadium, and he brings his kids into the press conference, and people were saying, "Are you bringing the kids into the press conference?"
A human shield.
Yeah, to avoid like a tough questioning. And he was like, "Oh no, I just love my kids. They're all just sitting there having a good time."
As he held the kid up in front of the microphone.
Yeah, and then like 3 months later, as I had a chance to get up close to them in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. And
did you say all this to his face?
I was about to say, "Is like, where are your kids?"
Did you do a good job, Nick Sirianni?
Nick, it's so unfair, the criticism you get. Do you think it's unfair?
I was about to go up to him and be like, "Can I ask you a tough question?" Or have you got like a teddy bear you can put up in front to try and hide away from it? But in fairness, at that point they were in the Super Bowl and they were like they were the quietly confident, mature team going into that game. It's amazing how quick it flips. I mean, even the Eagles earlier this year, their offense hasn't lit it up, but their defense is playing so well that he was given a pass. But then the last 2 weeks, they go 21-0 up against the Dallas Cowboys, lose 24-21, and then just play a terrible game on offense at home on Black Friday with the whole world watching. It seems that's what's changing the mood there really quickly.
They have an identity crisis as well. Like they have Saquon Barkley, who last year was absolutely electric, the running back. He had over 2,000 yards, one of the seasons of seasons for a running back. But they also have these unbelievable wide receivers as well. and they have a quarterback, Jalen Hurts, who can run, who can throw, but they seem to. They want to be like a smash-mouth aggressive team, but they have these diva wide receivers like AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, and AJ Brown in particular is unhappy with how little ball he's getting this year. Sometimes when they actually like let the offense loose and they're throwing it and running it and mixing and matching, they look unbelievable. And then sometimes they score like 3 points and they look like they're completely out of ideas. It's a strange one.
Okay. Yeah. Well, when they were booed, they were beaten by Chicago Bears. This was on Black Friday. And the Bears you want to mention because they are sort of back in business. They're currently the number 1 seed in the NFC. They've won 9 games thus far. Last season they only won 5, lost 12. And they've a new head coach, Ben Johnson, who came from Detroit, who obviously people will remember from last year were very good. And they are looking much improved. We have a clip. Is this just him doing the slow clap, the one clap thing again?
No. This is a hell of a lot better. So in Chicago, there is a hot dog place that says that if the Bears win and Ben Johnson takes his shirt off afterwards, they will give free hot dogs to people of Chicago. So the Bears win.
I know you guys are hungry for more, right? Itching. Let me tell you something. The city of Chicago is hungry too. The city of Chicago.
He's jacked as well, you should see it.
So how long do they have to give out free hot dogs for?
I don't know. I think they just kept going until it ran out.
I can't just
8 million people in Chicago. I can't imagine they're all queuing up in Lincoln Park.
Oh, God. American sports is just different, isn't it?
Yeah.
This showbiz razzmatazz aspect. I mean, Moisey's not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm less interested in the Bears beyond that. What are we saying here?
I think the biggest thing is that Ben Johnson has like successfully managed to pull off the biggest culture shift in an American sporting franchise we've seen within a 1 season period that I can remember. At the end of that, he starts sort of doing his sort of like his new slogan and all the players going in. The Bears for years have managed to find ways to mess up a quarterback that they draft, mess up games that they're playing against. They played against Detroit last year on Thanksgiving and made a complete bags of calling timeouts, ended with Matt Eberflus being fired as a head coach.
They're like a tragic team.
Pretty much. I mean, it's every week. Like if you're a Bears fan, there was a guy who at the start of this year said that he would run a mile for every point that the Bears would lose by over a game, and everyone's like, you're basically going to run a marathon every week. He actually hasn't had to do a whole lot of running this year because Ben Johnson has managed to completely reshape what the Chicago Bears are. He's rebuilt the offensive line, bringing in Joe Thuney, who's a really key part of that. Joe Thuney is a defensive lineman who won a Super Bowl in New England, won 3 in Kansas City, and has completely reshaped a very important foundation for that offense. But it's more the fact that for the first time, certainly I can remember, the Bears believe in themselves, which just hasn't been possible and has actually seemed so far from being any way achievable. And he's done that in, 12 games? He's played 12 or 13 games into the season.
He walked away from the Lions. He had the pick of jobs. He was the coach everybody wanted. The hot offensive coordinator. He was making Detroit look unbelievable, and he went to a division rival in Chicago, so a fairly gutsy move to go to like your current teams, one of their most hated rivals. And as Shane said, he's turned them around immediately. Not only coaches like this, people don't doubt like their technical acumen, how they can call plays, but as you can see from that or hear from that clip, like he is building a culture as well. He's getting buy-in. Like some guys are just like almost like nerdly looking at their play sheet and they're great in that role, and then if they're elevated it doesn't necessarily mesh well. But to be fair to him, that side of it he seems to have taken to quite well.
Okay. Oh my God. Arne Slot's been sacked.
What? We're gone now? That's it? Done?
Liverpool. Statement.
He's joking.
Yeah.
Come on.
In the ear.
That wasn't as good.
No, it wasn't. I was pushing it.
Part of me believed it though. There was, I will admit, there was like a 10% part. I was like, holy crap.
Well, Jamie Carragher said 7 points.
I was thinking that he needs a win or else Carragher.
Let's talk some Ireland then, and the international angle and where games are going next year. So Charlie Smith is going to start for New Orleans Saints against Tampa Bay the weekend. He's, how could you not start him? That 56-yarder, by the way, for context, a 7% success rate in the NFL by NFL standards. So it was a great kick.
So the onside kick that he was successful at, which is
Oh, sorry. Is that the one he put along the ground, the spinny one?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking 56 yards. God, they're not very good. Okay. So the little low one where he kind of, that was a 7% chance.
Yeah, I think the 56-yarder, I still think is the third longest first-time kick in NFL history. I think I'm right in saying that.
As in someone's first kick.
First ever kick in the NFL is the
career.
third longest, which is still pretty impressive. I mean, having like a gimme point after wouldn't really be Hollywood. He might as well make it a big one.
Is he doing much media? Have we heard from him much since or not so much?
Yeah, after the game, he did media, and somebody went up to him and said, "Listen, how did you feel doing the 56-yarder?" And he was like, "Well, I blacked out. I actually don't remember much of it at all." It's amazing, and obviously he was talking about the fact that his family, the family found out last Friday that he was going to be the kicker because there was a bit of an internal competition. The world got told on Saturday, so the family managed to spent 23 hours traveling through Chicago to get to Miami to watch the game on Sunday, and they were due back in work Tuesday morning. So it's an amazing return journey. But yeah, it's been, look, I mean, the thing about being a kicker in the NFL is obviously he's proven himself to be, really, really good. And this has actually become the talk of the NFL week, not just in Ireland, but I think across the league. It's also become one of the more positive things that have happened to the New Orleans Saints all year. That a lot of Saints media are really jumping all over this story about a guy who 2 years ago could not kick it, has never kicked an American football, and is now drilling 56-yard field goals for one of only 32 NFL teams. It's a pretty big storyline that a lot of people are interested in. But obviously the key now is they're going to Tampa Bay this Sunday, and he's going to have to do it again and keep consistent. But based on the performance last week, I'm sure he can.
Yeah. You were in that pub in Mayo Bridge, we should say. As well.
I did, yeah.
Sunday watching.
What are the chances?
Well, it's funny. I went up there, and in the first half, because he does the kickoff, and everything's great. And the barman turns around and goes, "When Charlie Smith scores, everyone's getting a free pint." And the first half, the Saints were so bad, it looked like Charlie Smith would never get his chance. Like even when they scored a touchdown to go for a 2-point conversion, which doesn't need a kicker to kick over the point, they had a drive in the first half, and they throw an interception, and we were like, "Come on, is there obviously the barman's money is safe if he's not going to give it up." But then, of course, in the second half, things changed.
What a sweet cheer when
Did you have a Guinness? What did you have?
56 yards.
I had
Did the barman cheer?
I had a Heineken Zero. He gave the little fist bump because he knew everyone was kind of looking at him, And then all of a sudden,
what was I thinking?
There was little raffle tokens that are passed around. So there's your voucher for free beer.
Oh no! And now it's like, are you doing the free beer thing again this week?
Yeah,
you know what
I don't know actually.
Well, he's got to do it now. It's Christmas.
Yeah.
So, Jude McAtamney officially kicked to touch by the Giants. He knew in the locker room interview he gave that this was coming. It is brutal, obviously, being a kicker. So officially released by the Giants after he missed those kicks. Is he done for now? Will he get another NFL team?
It's difficult to tell. I mean, just for context, he was dropped as a starter after that performance against Denver in October, but he was kept on the practice squad as the backup player, as you're allowed to do, because they have an extra kind of exemption slot for international players. But in that exemption slot is now being filled by a German player, I believe, as well. So that's kind of moved on. I think, look, with all of these things, what helps you is having tape, and because he's played college football and he has actually performed for the Giants over the span of 2 seasons now, including 4 games this year, not just that Denver game, he might still be able to get himself in a position to go to tryouts. I mean, the Saints last week were holding tryouts, and they had a league veteran called Cade York coming in. There is a possibility where at some point in the future, either he does really well in a mini camp, or his agent managed to get him an opportunity within the building of somewhere over the course of the summer or over the course of mid-season next year when another kicker is struggling, that he goes for a tryout. And if you go for a tryout, at least then you're in the mix.
International player has an even shorter leash than a kicker. You saw the reaction to that miss. Like, you had Bill Simmons, Jason Kelsey, some of the biggest names in American NFL media kind of not only lampooning him, but lampooning the fact that he was, what are they doing, an international guy doing that anyway? Like, even a shorter leash, I'd be shocked if he got another chance to kick in the NFL, which is tough, but
it's brutal, isn't it?
It's tough business.
So, NFL games next year, international games. Remind me where you've been. You've had a kind of tour de force.
Yeah.
Every time I looked at your Twitter page, like, you'd be sitting in the office and, everyone have a good weekend, and then like you're in Frankfurt or something.
I was in Berlin a couple of weeks ago.
Berlin. Where else have you been? Berlin,
Dublin, London, Kansas City, where my phone was almost broken by Patrick Mahomes' son. It was interesting.
Okay.
It just knocked over my tripod, which is funny. And then I went to Berlin as well. My first time in Berlin, I think this was the first NFL game in Berlin. I think they're going to start switching between Berlin and Munich now in Germany, which is interesting. So,
Are we getting a game next year? Put you on the spot.
difficult to tell at the moment because
It was a major success, though, wasn't it? Like, did everyone?
it was a major success, and I've heard enough whispers that I know the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers.
Who's whispering?
Morning, Alan will be on to you.
There's
Roger
enough-
Goodell whispered to you. Like, who are you talking about here?
The thing is, it's
He knows the Kansas City Chief owner, Mr. Hunt.
I have spoken to Mr. Hunt, who and the Chiefs are keen to play internationally next year, and they said that they play in Ireland in 2026 if given the opportunity. Although I have a funny feeling they're going to go and play in Australia against the Rams instead.
Well, this is the thing. So, according to your notes, so Mexico is on the agenda, Brazil is on the agenda, Melbourne is on the agenda.
Yep, that's confirmed.
I mean, they really are taking over the world, aren't they? Although I guess West Coast, Melbourne, it's not actually.
Well, it's the
all
first
that far.
time they've gone trans-Pacific. In fairness,
Okay. Germany, Detroit Lions, and then New Orleans Saints. Obviously, a lot of French speakers there. They're going to Paris.
yeah,
That is a good one.
yeah,
New Orleans Saints in Paris. That would be nice. Go and see Charlie Smith in Paris.
yeah.
You know?
Fantastic.
But obviously, they are limited owing to their collective bargaining agreement as to how many games they can play internationally in a given year. That's player welfare, I presume.
Yeah, and in fairness, that limit has increased consistently over the last few years. It was doubled at one point.
Okay.
So I mean that is up for negotiation. That's the kind of thing which they talk about in league meetings after the Super Bowl ends. So this is the time of year where we're just not quite sure. There was a report that ministers have been told here in Ireland that they are pushing for a game in 2026 and that they're having good conversations with the NFL. But the thing with the NFL is the two places they've played this year, which they haven't really been clear about what their intentions are in the short term, are Spain and Ireland. They played the first game in Madrid between the Dolphins and Commanders a couple of weeks ago. I didn't go to that one. It's the one I didn't go to.
And how did so say, for instance, because there's going to be 3 in London,
Yeah.
you get to your 10 games pretty quickly. Say it's a shootout between Dublin and Spain. Surely we're better than those guys.
Well, actually, that's the thing. There's a lot of mixed reaction coming out of Spain that the actual knowledge of American football wasn't quite up to the standard they were expecting. They were expecting to come there and for there really be a lot of local NFL fans to be very keen for it. There was a lot of travellers from America come over that game. Now, there's a lot of travellers from America coming over to the game in Ireland as well. But the difference is, I think you could have sold out the Ireland game without any Pittsburgh fans. I don't fully think that was the case with Spain. So it's difficult to tell right now. I think
Ireland is a no-brainer, sure.
Did you get in your conversations with Mr. Hunt or others? Was there any sense that the not the protest, the kind of unhappiness with the game being here? Did that penetrate the bubble? Are they aware that there was on Morning Ireland you have Michael Darragh Macaulay? I mean, this was an aspect, obviously, to the week. Did that penetrate their feel-good bubble? Are they aware that sentiment was out there?
So my belief in the lead up to the game in Dublin, they were actually very worried about that. But actually on game day, very little happened. So I don't know if that's affected how people think about it afterwards. When it comes to the possibility of Dublin hosting a game in 2026, I think it was probably depends on a team really saying we want to do this, because that's how the Steelers managed to get it done in 2025. And like the Packers, I know were originally the ones, I have a strong belief in it, they were originally the ones lined up to play against the Steelers this year. But once Aaron Rodgers went to the Steelers, they were never going to let his one and only game against the Packers being played in Ireland. So the Vikings ended up filling that slot instead. The Packers have an Irish player in their team. I think they're keen to at least explore the idea of coming over here. I've heard on the ground here that there are, there's definitely explorations happening, but there's nothing concrete to believe to say that is going to happen next year. And to be honest with you, it probably won't be until January till we get a clearer sense as to that. But in terms of the geopolitical things that were happening around the game that week, I don't think it's going to put them off too much, because quite simply they made too much money out of it.
Okay. That's NFL for now. Who knows when we'll come back to NFL? This could become NFL Thursday if you guys play your cards right.
Yeah. Christmas Day. It's the one sport they're playing on Christmas Day. So
did the NFL not play Christmas Day?
That's what I mean. It's the one sport that it will be on Christmas Day. So we'll.
NBA.
Sorry, do the NBA?
NBA do, yeah.
Oh yeah,
the NBA. I meant to say NBA.
It's actually a big controversy. Like Christmas Day used to be the NBA's day. Like that's the one day we can have for ourselves, and then NFL were like, nope, not anymore. We're playing 3 games this year.
I'm surprised Premier League haven't edged into that vicinity. Not just one game.
They don't even want to play in St Stephen's Day.
Christmas is more sacrosanct in this part of the world.
Yeah.
Like, as in, Thanksgiving is more their family. They play NFL on Thanksgiving as well, I suppose.
I'm just surprised there's not a 7 or 8 p.m.
Do you think?
Well, imagine at 7 p.m. on Christmas Day, you have a long day with your beloved family, and then like Man United Newcastle's on. It would do bonanza.
Oh, it would do well, but
it had 15 million people watching.
I do feel like there's a sentiment that Christmas Day is sacrosanct.
I know, but like Christmas used to be sacrosanct here, and now like on Christmas Day, they're just making people go, like, you go to your garage and it's open. It's crazy. Like I'm against it. I don't mind professional football.
Garages.
Yeah, I think everything should be shut down on Christmas Day. But you know, like you
need petrol.
Where do you get it the day before? Everything's closed tomorrow. Get your petrol. Done. We survived.
Like the purge. Like I don't know.
No. Well, but you're making fair enough. The tap and go, get your petrol. But like you're making somebody come in and work on Christmas Day.
I had to work on Christmas Day when I was on the sports desk. Like, you know, some people have to work.
Yeah, it's your vocation though. You're a journalist at heart.
I'm a newsman. I'm an old news hound really at heart.
A newsman. No, I just think that stuff should be sacrosanct. Man United Newcastle. I don't know.
Well, they used to have full slates. Now it's going back to the 40s and 50s.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, we were going to do a piece on that. Eamon Dunphy and Gilesy and all those guys were playing Christmas Day.
I don't think they actually went back.
Did they not?
Yeah.
Sorry, then our idea was punctured.
I know, but that's one of the reasons we kicked it the touch.
Okay. Yeah. Well, like what were we talking about the other day? And I couldn't believe the figures in the office. They got what we were saying something got 20 million.
Oh, Gavin and Stacey.
Gavin and Stacey we're talking about. He got 20 million. Imagine like a big football match was on. I'm surprised they don't go for it. Look, put it this way, it'll happen within a decade.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd be surprised. But they don't need it.
We're in late stage capitalism, Will. It's not about need.
Yeah.
It's about greed. You know that. So anyway, what were we saying?
NFL, late stage capitalism. That's
moving on to college.
Christmas Day? No. Oh, we're done. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No.
We're done.
No,
we're done on NFL. Sorry, we were saying we might do a show on Christmas.
Bill Belichick.
So this is interesting, the extent to which his legend has been chipped away at. So like, I'm not as into it as you, but at my most into it, it was in the heyday of the Belichick era, and he was, just above all others. And then a couple of things have happened. Obviously, Brady left and did his thing at Tampa, and then weirdly, Belichick, it goes horribly for him at the end, Patriots, and then he appears on the roast of Tom Brady, and Brady's literally like, well, they used to wonder, Bill, was it me or was it you? It was me. And Belichick's sitting there. And I'm not casting judgment, live and let live, but his relationship with a 24-year-old Jordan Hudson, he's 73, is just ridiculed, frankly. Like, it makes him a figure of fun, from late night TV talk shows to social media and beyond, and the roast of Tom Brady. And now he's gone to North Carolina and is tanking horribly, it seems. His first collegiate campaign, a 4-8 record. There was a docu-series that was being made, and they canned it midway through because things were going so badly. Clips suggest that Jordan Hudson, his partner, was very involved with the production of the show, which was a surprise to producers. There was the CBS Sunday Morning interview a while back where she intervened. How did you two meet? You know what I mean? That's a nice question. That's a softball. How did you two meet? And you just heard her voice going, no. Which made a lot of people think, how did they meet? How did they meet? So all of this with Belichick is, I think, in a real way, that is almost kind of unthinkable, like chipping away at how people see him. His legend.
And it's been as bad as before a ball was kicked this year, we had all this sideshow you alluded to, and people would have said, oh, how will this go? It's been as bad as you would have thought from the build-up. It's funny, if you actually go back to their opening night, they played on a Monday night of the first weekend, so they had it to themselves. It was on ESPN. It was a home game. Like, Michael Jordan was there. He's a North Carolina alum. Lawrence Taylor, the legendary footballer, was there. He's a North Carolina alum. They started the season. They get the kickoff. They go down, mashing the field, score a touchdown. It's like, oh, we're in business here.
Belichick,
it's
baby.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
They lost 48-14 that night. They conceded 48 points unanswered, and it didn't get much better. They have a 4-8 record, but 2 of those wins were against not top division college teams, so like bottom feeding teams. So in reality, it's kind of like more of a 2-8 against normal teams. And he's not even in one of the more difficult conferences. Like, he's in North Carolina, where they play, maybe a softer schedule than some of the other, big beasts in the South. It's been a disaster. Like, and you said that, the relationship has become a figure of fun, and it's not the age gap although that's part of it, it's because she's so involved in this late stage era of Bill Belichick's life. It's unfathomable to see what his football legacy has become. Like, he had 49 years unbroken service in the NFL as an assistant and as a head coach from 1975 to 2023, 49 straight seasons. So he was steeped in lore of the game. And while people poked fun at him and say Tom Brady was the reason they won those Super Bowls, you just look at the numbers from the first Super Bowl. Tom Brady completed less than 50% of his passes and threw for 145 yards. It was Bill Belichick's defense that won them that Super Bowl. So he 100% has a rich legacy and 100% contributed to a lot of the success. But for a few reasons, I suppose, like, you know, I alluded to it, I think off air, or maybe it was at the start, like, he has his sons heavily involved in the coaching staff. He has this kind of coterie of hangers-on coaches he's had for a long time with him on this North Carolina staff. The game has moved on. Like, college football has changed drastically in the last 5 years. Now it's like you have to have an open checkbook to pay players. They've changed the regulations around what players can receive. He's not doing that much recruiting, so his roster was quite weak this year. To be honest, I know you're saying he'll be there in Dublin in the Aviva in August. I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't, to be honest. I could see him just parting ways over the summer. And as you said, it's 100% chipping away at his legacy. The end of the Patriots wasn't great, but, you know, people often peter out a little bit. That wouldn't have been, but this has been a circus.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. So, like, when the obituary is read, and, you know, please God, it's many, many, many decades into the future and he lives to a ripe old age, but when that moment comes, I think ultimately the obituary will still, when you read it, you're like, oh my God, like, this is the greatest coach in the history of almost any sport. But it's just people who are living through this time, you use the word circus, that for people like watching it now, the feel around him has changed. Even though the obituary on paper will still be magnificent. You can't, the legacy's so big, you can't really chip it away at it too much, but the feel around him is very different.
Especially because there was a world where this could have actually been a really cool thing. Like, he talked a big game when he got the job, and he was like, I'm going to turn this into a pro football factory. I'm going to bring what I've learned in 50 years of NFL, and I'm going to make these guys the best prepared NFL players possible. Okay. On paper, that sounds very good, but he's working in a school with not a rich history of football success. He doesn't have, like, this unbelievable roster that he can mold and sculpt and send to the NFL.
It was not totally his fault.
No, but he chose his job, and he's not maybe doing the legwork about recruiting and getting the infrastructure in place to make sure they have recruits. I guess he maybe thought Bill Belichick's 6 Super Bowls would open some doors, but 18-year-olds don't know who Bill Belichick is.
There's also a degree as well. I mean, a huge part of his legacy is, you know, as time went on, God, not the nicest guy to be coached by. You know what I mean?
For young players. How are young players going to respond to that?
I think if you're the father or mother of that 18-year-old and it's like, Bill Belichick wants me to go spend 4 years with him, you might be like, and I don't think you should.
That's the thing, because the transfer portal in college is a fairly new invention that's opened up this week. A huge amount of the key players in North Carolina are saying, I want out of here.
Okay.
And that's a big part of the problem around North Carolina. And I think as well, when you're a school like North Carolina in college football, one of the big pluses of bringing in a guy like Belichick is that there's a nice PR bump, and you can bring in more money and more donations, which help fund the program, which help get better players. But it's difficult to do that when so much of the circus and PR around the team is just crazy stuff. And it seems like every second week there has to be a statement coming from either the coach or the college saying, no, we're committed to this. This is a long-term thing. Even though Belichick will jump on any opportunity to go back to the NFL that he gets, although he's probably not.
There's one particular podcast in America. It's called Pablo Torre Finds Out.
Oh, yeah.
He's made this Bill Belichick North Carolina thing his hobby horse. Like, he produces a couple of podcasts a week on all different kind of sporting, kind of off the beat and track kind of thing. But he's been digging into this, like, Bill Belichick, Jordan Hudson. He's probably done 10 podcasts on it over the course of the season. And it's just adding more grist to the bill and more, you know, ridiculous kind of little details about what's going on behind the scenes there. Like, yeah.
Jordan Hudson is threatening to sue him as well.
Yeah.
It just keeps getting deeper and deeper.
Okay. Very finally, I'm giving you 60 seconds.
Okay. Can I have 90?
Yeah.
Okay. The biggest scandal, controversy, whatever you want to call it, in college football in a long time is taking place over the last week. Lane Kiffin, one of the best college coaches in America, has been coaching this year the University of Mississippi. They've had their best season in 50, 60 odd years. He brought them to the college football playoff for the first time ever. He's been a controversial figure throughout his coaching career. In the noughties, he was the youngest ever NFL head coach. He was hired by the Oakland Raiders back then. He was seen as this offensive guru, kind of like what I was talking about earlier with Ben Johnson. He was seen as a guy who could come in and fix things, but unlike Ben Johnson, he didn't have the human side. He couldn't mesh his kind of football knowledge with actually managing a locker room. He was turfed out of there after about a year, but he was still very highly regarded. He went to the University of Tennessee, then the University of Southern California, but was kind of left both of those in very acrimonious circumstances. That's basically been a hallmark of his career. He kind of burns bridges and outstays his welcome, and is a difficult enough character to work with. Like, infamously, he spent a time with Nick Saban in the University of Alabama. He was the assistant coach, again doing what he does well, coached offensive football. A week before the national championship game, he said, I've actually got an offer to go to another college to be a head coach. I might take it after this season. And Nick was like, I'm firing you now. I don't trust you. You're gone. So basically, University of Mississippi this year, they had their best season ever. The playoffs are around the corner. Last Saturday, the day after their final regular season game that sealed their place in the playoffs, he handed in his resignation. And he has taken another job with LSU, Louisiana State University, one of the big beasts, because he thinks they're a better program long term. So he hasn't actually stayed even for the end of the season playoffs. Kind of an unprecedented move to actually walk out on the team you're currently in the playoffs with for a team that aren't involved, just to kind of get a head start on next year and recruiting and getting all that stuff, all those ducks in a row. And when he was flying out from like a private jet on Saturday from, I think, Oxford, Mississippi, there was about 100 or 200 or 300 Mississippi fans there heckling him, booing him, throwing all sorts of abuse at him. Like when he left Tennessee in the noughties, the campus rioted. Like he was that unpopular, and like, you know, the place was set on fire. He's a place who kind of bridges are literally burned when this guy leaves town. He's one of the best coaches in the game, but controversy has followed him, and to walk out on a current playoff team with kind of grass is greener has been a massive story in American sports over the last 7 days.
Jeez. Poor old Jack Nienenberg going, and you guys are coming at me? All right, fellas. That was some NFL talk for our NFL friends out there. Come on.
Oh,
I hope you enjoyed it.
I did. I genuinely did. You two are so all over this. It's amazing. It's great. So if I was going to, now that I'm, week 14 of 18 and we're moving on, if I was going to watch one match this weekend.
Bears-Packers, 9:25 kickoff.
9:25 Bears.
Most story.
Ben Johnson Bears, Packers on Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah, on Sunday.
Cool, because I got Leinster and then I got Munster. Saturday's a write-off, actually. I was looking at this weekend.
Yeah, it's busy.
Not going to be pretty. All right, fellas, let's talk NFL in a couple of weeks. Minimum.
There we go.
Shane Brennan, thank you. Will, thank you.
Thanks, Joe.